Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is, what the FDA approval means in terms of the pandemic in general. I think one of the things that I think most of us are starting to realize with the variants and how long the immunity lasts from the original two, and now, we need potentially a booster, is that this is really being converted from a pandemic situation to an endemic virus that we're going to have to live with as a society, and how we're going to deal with it in terms of societal measures and social distancing, masking, and booster shots, and ventilations in buildings, and some people working remotely, and all those strategies that we've been talking about may now have to go from short-term strategies, and how do we deploy those to long-term strategies if the COVID-19 virus becomes endemic. It's something that we will have to live with. And I think this FDA approval and the studies coming out in children in the next few months is going to be part of that long-term solution. We're going to have to come up with a long-term solution, because I think the old concept of developing herd immunity and just having the COVID-19 virus disappear like smallpox may not be possible, given the variants that are coming out, given the length of time potentially the vaccine may give you immunity, or even how long your own natural immunity may last after you get infected. In other words, if we ever get to the point where you can get reinfected with COVID if you've already been infected, or get infected after you've had an older version of the vaccine, that really speaks to an endemic virus now. An endemic virus requires different strategies than a virus that we were trying to get under control and eliminate. And I think what the Delta variant has taught us, the odds are shifting every day that we're heading to a long-term endemics problem that we need to deal with, as we've dealt with other viruses that, look at HIV, came out in the 1980s, and here we are, 40 years later, and we're still dealing with it, addressing it with it. We've had great success, but it's become part of society. It's become something we've got under control, but it's still present. So I think that's probably, when you look at this FDA approval, that's probably the direction we're going. When you look at the studies in children, all of that is sort of gearing us up for a long-term battle and attempt to control something that's going to be with us for maybe a long time.